All right, so this video is how to read tarot and astrology. Okay, so this is how to incorporate astrology into your tarot readings and how to see how astrology and tarot have, there are things that are embedded within tarot cards that deal with astrology. All right, so whether you're an astrologer or a tarot reading, this will be a really helpful video. All right, so I'm just going to go through how each card that I'm showing you right now is linked to a different. So I'm only doing court cards and the major arcana today, and a little bit of the minor arcana. All right, so first we're going to do the major arcana. The major arcana, whether you are a beginner or novice or advanced master tarot reader, you know that the first 22 cards, and it starts with 0 and then it goes to 21, which is why I say 22, because it starts with 0, not 1. All right, so we're going to start here. The Fool is linked with air. So air is about communication and movement. And so this is actually linked to the planet of Uranus, because Uranus is unknown and it is eccentric and it is about erratic, sporadic change. And the Fool card is on a journey, but they don't really know what the journey is. Okay, so we start off the tarot deck with someone who's willing to give chance a try. This is going to be really important to keep in mind when we see what the major arcana ends with, okay? All right, so next we have the Magician card. The Magician card indicates control. When we see the Magician, we're thinking about Mercury. So not just control, but also the Magician is able to more so control people with their mind. I mean, think about it. A magician plays mind games. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad card. A lot of times it simply means somebody who has a lot of energy, someone who has a lot of power, control. They're able to, be very witty and very strategic with certain things. And so the Magician card is linked to Mercury, the planet which moves very fast, but it's also about ideas and communication. We then have the High Priestess card, all right? She is linked to the Moon. However, the Moon card is not what she, is not all that she is linked to, okay? So the High Priestess is also linked to this idea of being someone who is able to look at things in a subjective way. So not just looking at things in what is literally in front of you, but being able to look at things and actually do things about it. I think sometimes we see the High Priestess, we think, oh, you're just sitting on knowledge. But the High Priestess, because of what she knows, she's able to transform elements of her life by using her intuition, by looking beneath the surface and understanding the deeper meaning of things and seeing what is not so obvious to see. She's linked to the Moon. So that makes perfect sense. The Moon is, in astrology, linked to intuition. Okay. All right. Next we have the Empress, okay? So the Empress is linked to Venus, which is no surprise. Venus is the planet of love and of beauty and appreciating beauty and valuing beauty and possessions. And so we see the Empress, who is in a lot of decks. This is a pretty straightforward deck. It's not as elaborate as some other tarot decks, but we see that she appears to be very comfortable. She is, doting on herself. She creates things. She makes things beautiful. She makes things better. Thinking about that Venus influence. The Emperor card. So here we have the Emperor card. The Emperor card is typically linked to Aries. Okay. Now, again, some people have different ways of doing this linking. So there might be some times where certain people view certain signs as being linked to different cards. But here we have the Emperor. Some people might say, well, why not Leo? Leo is the one that shines, but there is a different card for Leo. Okay. So the Emperor, think about Aries and just being very confident and very, regardless of whether right, wrong, or not, Aries wants to be on top. Aries is going to use their willpower and use their ability to be a risk taker in order to make it to the top. So it's that kind of symbolism that you're seeing here with this. Okay. Next, we have the Hierophant, who is linked to Taurus. So when you think of Taurus, remember Taurus is linked to values and possessions. And the Hierophant is wise, someone that people go to receive answers. Usually sometimes the Hierophant card is linked to religion or belief systems. And that is very similar to to what we know Taurus to be. Taurus is a card built on foundation and what is true and proven. And so that's linked here to that card. The Lover's card, Gemini, mutual. Here we see two people. And this card is about mutual agreement, mutual terms, being able to communicate what it is that you both are thinking or agreeing upon. We have the Chariot, which is a representation of Cancer. And so, you know, the Chariot, direction. And that makes sense because Cancer is a cardinal water. A lot of times people forget that like cardinal signs are movers. And so Cancer has a very interesting command of emotions and the ability to kind of almost kind of direct other people's emotions sometimes, whether you believe it or not, whether you see it or not. And so the Chariot is about direction and purpose and knowing where you're going and being and following through with that. And the Cancer idea of like following through with their heart, following through with what they feel is right. All right. Then we have the Strength card. This represents Leo. That's why I said don't call the Emperor the Leo card. We have the Lion. So you see a lot of tarot decks have this lion here, okay? He's ferocious, but she is taming him. So when you see something, it's like, think about Leo. You know, I say this in every video, I love Leo. But it's more so like taming something that seems impossible. And so Leo likes to shine. But at the same time, Leo is not about all ego. Leo wants to shine, but they want you to shine too. All right? The Hermit. All right, so that's representation of Virgo. Virgo is, you know, this sign is linked to Virgo, which is idea of introspection and looking deep within yourself and looking for the answers within yourself. And so both Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury, but Gemini wants to dispense Mercury's message, right? Whereas Virgo wants to take the information and figure out how to make something of it. And sometimes they have to kind of go alone on their own to see the light. Like, where do I do? How do I make sense of this information? What do I do for myself? All right. How do I, you know, follow my own path with, and you think of Virgos, for the most part, a lot of them can be comfortable doing things alone, or they're used to having to do things on their own, or whatever the case may be. All right. Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so we see the Wheel of Fortune card. This is actually a symbol of Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of risk and risk taker. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Wheel of Fortune, but it's also good luck. So Jupiter can also indicate, especially in a birth chart, good luck, areas in your life where you will have an easier time and you won't have to do as much work. Okay. So the Wheel of Fortune is symbolic of this idea of like sometimes we cannot control things the way that we think we can. And we have to sometimes let fate take control. All right. Justice card is linked to Libra. As you can see here, she has, he, in this deck, it's a representation of this being here. It's a balancing act. And that's what Libra is constantly trying to do. Make a decision. Libra is the middle child of Aries. Middle child of the air signs. So we have Gemini, then we have Libra, then we have Aquarius. And so where Gemini is trying to get all the information and is curious, Libra now has to make decisions. And then we end with Aquarius, who then takes things and actualizes them into society. All right. Then we have the Hanged Man. Okay. Now this is, this card here is a representation of water, elemental water, Neptune. So remember, Neptune, sometimes it's that dreamy planet. It's the planet that makes us imaginative, and it makes us kind of take a break from the rationality of life, and we're able to dream and see things in ways that we haven't seen them before and be creative. But at the same time, it also can be, we could also, if too much into this Neptunian energy, you can become delusional and feel restricted. And sometimes people ruled by Neptune signs can feel restricted because the way the active world wants us to live is not in tune with how they want to freely go about doing things. All right, death card, Scorpio. Scorpio ruled by Mars and Pluto. Remember, Pluto is about transformation, and this card literally translates to transformation, not necessarily literal death. And so this can sometimes be the death of certain parts of your life, lessons that you've learned. Now you're willing to move on, a traumatic or dramatic change in life. Okay. Temperance card is ironically linked to Sagittarius. And so Sagittarius, we don't really perceive as being very patient. This card typically translates to patience. But if you look here, she's pouring one cup into another cup. And Sagittarius is always trying to see the purpose in things. Sagittarius repurposes ideas, right? You notice that? Like Sagittarius will go travel, or Sagittarius goes and learns new things, but they want to do it in order to further that. She's not wasting this here. You see what I'm saying? It's about getting it and being able to dispense it. It's mutable fire. Okay, now I have this information as a Sagittarius. What do I now do with this information? How do I dispense it? How do I use it to help others? The Devil card is representation of Capricorn. And so the devil, when you think about the devil, you know, again, there's symbolism to it, but it doesn't literally always translate to the devil. We think about the mask. We think about things underneath the surface. We think about the fact that Capricorn energy could be very, it's always got a purpose. It always has a goal. And so sometimes we don't see that with Capricorn, or we, don't take things for surface value. Understand that Capricorn, no matter how, whether they're kind of being subdued, or if they are being very direct, if they are being very, directive, whatever the case may be, there's a deeper thing behind it, okay? So it's not about them being tricksters. It's more so about them, the mask that you have to take off, because there's always something that Capricorn is trying to obtain or get. And it's not always money, okay? Sometimes it's just a goal that it can even be about family. It doesn't always have to mean money, but that's what this card is linking to. So then we have the Tower. Okay. And so we think about Tower, this is actually linked to planet Mars. Mars can be disruptive and destructive, but Mars is needed. Mars also linked, especially in traditional astrology, to war. And, obviously in modern society, a lot of us view war in a negative way, and it's not something we want to have to do. But, especially if you think of past history, a lot of times people had to go to war to be free, or had to go to war in order to defeat someone who was trying to, take control or power over them. And so the Tower represents like breaking things down in order to build them up again. All right, Star card. Okay, this is linked more so to Aquarius. And it's kind of got that same capricious nature of Aquarius, where Aquarius can be serious and get things done, but at the same time it has this very capricious, very lackadaisical kind of vibe. Aquarius kind of glides through life, but somehow they have the answers because they're air signs and they know things. And so the Star card is just kind of happy. They don't really need a lot. And so you'll see that with Aquarius, like they're not really following through with what everybody else is doing. They're kind of just happy in their own kind of space, in their own kind of direction. The Moon, interestingly enough. So we said that the High Priestess was linked to the planet of the Moon, right? And so here in tarot, typically we have the Moon, which is representing Pisces. And so here at Pisces, it's like this heightened awareness of emotions. It's this heightened, profound understanding of the collective, everyone's experience, and being able, as Pisces, the oldest sign of the zodiac, this last sign. This compassion and this innate knowledge that doesn't have to be shown off, but is just present and there. And then we have the Sun. Okay, the Sun is ruled by the Sun. Okay, and here's what I say about the Sun, and especially when we're talking about Leo energy, when we think about Leo, which is ruled by the Sun. The Sun shines, right? And the Sun shines, and we notice the Sun, and we look up to the Sun. Or hopefully we shouldn't be, don't want to blind yourself, but we look up to the sun, right? And we look at it, or we appreciate it, or we notice it, and we're like, wow, the sun's out today. It's warm. But remember, the sun also shines down on us. And so that's Leo and that's the Sun. It's not just about the sun being beautiful, or the sun providing light, or the sun providing rays of sun and just positive joy. It's about the sun shines down on us in order to provide us that warmth as well. The Judgment card. All right. Fire, Pluto. So this is related to Pluto. Remember, Pluto is a transformative planet, and Pluto often is kind of like that decision maker. Pluto makes things kind of final. Pluto is transformative, and sometimes have to going through difficult things in order to have things come out on the end with some type of result. And then we have the World card. Okay. The World card, remember I told you in the beginning to pay attention, because the Fool card is the first one, and we end with the World. And we started with Uranus, who was very sporadic. Think about the Fool. The Fool is the beginning. It's like new. I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. I'm on a new journey. I'm enthusiastic. Let's see where this takes us. And then we end up with the World, who, as you can see here, has a different stance. Look at how accomplished they look. Look at how proud they look. Look at how just confident they're standing. And so when you see the World card, that means you've gone through all the phases. And so we've gone through all the phases of the Major Arcana. We've gone through the Tower. We've gone through Justice. We've gone through the Hanged Man. We've gone through, all these, the Hierophant, the Lovers. We've gone through all these stages, and the World is a representation of Saturn. Saturn provides harsh lessons, or difficult lessons, or difficult times, or just simply life, things that happen. In order for us to learn, we have to, go through different things and grow from them. All right. And so that is ending out the major arcana. We go from Uranus to Saturn. Okay, so think about those stages in life when you are doing your readings, and especially when you are thinking about how each zodiac sign or each planet is affecting the circumstances of your reading or any readings that you're doing for others. Thank you for watching.